WWE returned to the United States last night, and I thought I was going to miss the European crowd, but it turned out the crowd last night in Chicago was phenomenal. They opened up with the second city state CM Punk to a great reaction, and we got straight down into it. Would we find out the favour straight away? Not exactly. Punk talked about how much love he has for the Chicago crowd, how he nearly wasn't even from Chicago, picked up the camera at some point. The crowd were loving this whole segment, but we got straight into it about him, main event in WrestleMania, the dream, all of it finally coming true. He did the little goosebumps thing that The Rock used to do, well, does, but we haven't seen The Rock in ages. Really good opening segment. It already hooked me because I wasn't actually going to watch SmackDown live, but I decided, saw Punk open, and I went, alright, I'll watch it. But, interrupted immediately basically by Paul Heyman, who wanted to know what the actual favour was. So there was the first plot twist for everyone. We all thought Heyman knew the favour, but he didn't. And I preferred that. I think it was great for everyone in the main event to find out what the actual favour was, apart from obviously CM Punk. And it also left you wondering the entirety of the night just what it was going to be. I'm glad they didn't drop this favour storyline, because it looked at one point that they were going to drop it and I was going to actually lose my head after that one, but they didn't drop it. CM Punk and Heyman back in the ring together was great. Last time they were in the ring together in Chicago was when Heyman asked Punk to take him with him. And this kind of foreshadowed what we would find out in the main event. Punk said, "I will tell you all what the favour is when Roman Reigns turns up." And that's how that segment ended. Punk walked off. Heyman looked shocked. Heyman's surprised. Heyman's basically terrified. There's a big story to be with Heyman. What's actually going to happen at WrestleMania? Is Heyman really going to turn on one of them? Or both of them? As there is a possibility he could join Seth. But yeah, Punk walked out, and that was the opening segment. Very good opening segment. And I would actually say the show continued on really well from this. Nathan Fraser was the opponent for the new debuting superstar, Rey Fenix, who had some crazy pyro for his entrance. Yeah, honestly, between Penta and Rey Fenix entrance, I prefer Phoenix's, but the pyro is a bit mad. Really good match. Perfect opponent for Rey Fenix to face in his debut. People were annoyed that Nathan Fraser kicked out of like this pile driver thing. Or people were saying, "Oh, Ray just dropped him on his head." Nathan Fraser's okay. There's no injury. Really good match. Finisher was good. Fast paced. And he then talked about on the mic afterwards. He actually got pretty good English, to be fair. I'm interested to see what we do now with Rey Fenix. Does he make it onto WrestleMania? I'm not sure quite how he would do that. We've got 2 weeks left. But there is somebody who is now going to be without an opponent at WrestleMania. We get to that later on. Drew McIntyre cut a small promo in his eye patch. Shout out to Tonga Loa wearing the eye patch. Obviously, it's nothing to do with that. He got real glass in his eye last week because of Damian Priest. I very much got hooked on this storyline now. They've done something I didn't think they could do. I care about the match when I didn't really give a shit. Solo Sikoa, who is still not going to be on WrestleMania for like the 3rd year in a row, was backstage with Tama Tonga berating Braun Strowman before Braun would be facing Jacob Fatu later on in the Last Man Standing match, which was a number 1 contendership for LA Knight's United States Championship at WrestleMania. LA Knight would then face Tama Tonga in a decent match. LA Knight would pick up the win after Solo tried to help out Tama Tonga, got a 2.99 before LA Knight kicked out, hit the BFT, got away from Solo. I don't understand what Solo's doing at Mania. He may just be doing nothing. There's a genuine question, which I said a couple months ago. What happens with Solo when he loses to Roman? Simple. He loses all his flipping momentum, and he's back to that Solo who never wins anything. Paul Heyman got a promo outside and thought that Roman Reigns was going to be behind him. He was like, my tribal chief, after basically saying yes to CM Punk, saying yes, CM Punk, whatever it is, it's yes. It turned out it was Seth Rollins, and we kind of got the small little tease of what we could see in the future if Seth and Heyman really are the duo. I would love it. I think it'd be really cool to see Heyman and Seth. It would be the biggest plot twist, the biggest swerve that anyone could have seen coming. Which is why people are saying it just as a joke, like, what if Seth joins with Heyman? Seth said, I want to be in the main event to see all of it go down. Seth was having a fun night, honestly. It was actually hilarious, the reactions he had in the main event. And again, we still haven't had a bad thing. And then we get to Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair's in-ring promo. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus Christ. First of all, both of them were serving with their gears. The gears looked phenomenal. Tiffany's looked way better. Oh, dearie me. How do I go into this? Right, so Charlotte definitely got rattled by the crowd throughout this entire segment, and apparently they both went off script during this entire segment. There were some lines which were said which probably wouldn't be allowed to be said. Recently Charlotte got divorced from Andrade, and this was Charlotte's third divorce, and Tiffany kind of brought that up because Charlotte was mocking Tiffany's talking, going, I can't hear you, you're squeaking, la 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 la, like a little kid, which was actually embarrassing to watch. I've never really liked Charlotte because she's always tried to bury people who are like an up-and-coming talent. When Becky Lynch got popular, Charlotte tried to bury Becky. There was also that thing a couple of years ago where she chucked the belt at Becky on the floor. It was just disrespectful. There was reports of that stuff with trying to get Sasha Banks out of the company. Her issues with Bayley. From what I knew, Charlotte and Tiffany actually had a decent relationship until this little feud. There was some low blows in this one. Charlotte was definitely rattled so much by the crowd and Tiffany Stratton. The crowd loved Tiffany, and Charlotte was trying to get a promo out, but the crowd were just booing her like crazy. Which I understand might be a bit distracting, I get that, but then what happened next was just wrong. 2 weeks ago, Charlotte Flair went off script basically and kind of tried to bury Tiffany, saying she wasn't ready for all this stuff. And again, it just frustrates me because this could have been such a good match. And now the problem is, it's probably going to be a shoot match. So Tiffany went up with the line of, you're going to be alone. Your record at Mania 4-3, but you're going to be 0-3. And then did the woo, and then Charlotte clapped back straight away saying, is that why Kaiser's in my DMs? Oh my god. Yeah, so Kaiser's obviously with Tiffany Stratton. Kaiser then posted on Twitter later on saying, don't flatter yourself to Charlotte. Charlotte's basically going to win this match, and it's probably going to be a squash match or a burial. So if Tiffany's going to lose, Tiffany just kick out. Just kick out. It's going to be an ugly match. It was an ugly segment. People defending Charlotte, stop. People defending Tiffany, stop. Both were in the wrong. However, Charlotte has done this to multiple people in the past, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of Charlotte doing it. Tiffany's a youngster. She's 25. She actually made some good points in the promo, but Charlotte just couldn't get a word out because of the crowd, and she just went completely off script, and it was stupid. It was wrong. It's got people hyped for the match in the wrong way now. Nick Aldis announced that at WrestleMania, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez will actually be at WrestleMania defending the Women's Tag Team Championships. We would find out later on in the show who those tag teams would be. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm happy Liv's at Mania. It depends if Liv wins. Now Nick Aldis will be in the ring to announce about Kevin Owens, and it already looked bad with how Nick was like talking about it and everything, and Kevin came out. There was no booze. It was just pure emotion. And Kevin Owens is having to step away from WWE for quite some time to undergo severe neck surgery. The match between Kevin Owens and Randy Orton is obviously cancelled at WrestleMania. There was no punt to the head. They didn't do it. So I thought maybe they would write Kevin off storyline-wise with a punt to the head. But I don't think Kevin can get hit in the head, basically. It could be that bad. Kevin's last match could have been with Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber. So Randy Orton now has nobody to face at WrestleMania. So what does Randy Orton do? Oh, we RKO's Nick Aldis, which, to be fair, he doesn't need to pay him because he paid him twice last time. Very interested to see what we do with Randy because there's only 2 weeks left, and I don't know if they can bring something up that quickly, but I'll see. We'll see what happens. Next was match of the night, Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman in a crazy last man standing match. These two blew the house down. It was crazy, brilliant. And I was surprised to say Solo and Tama Tonga didn't get involved. Jacob Fatu won the match clean, you can say, with that running hip attack into a table through to Strowman. Got up just before 10. Jacob Fatu is facing LA Knight for the United States Championship at WrestleMania. It is Fatu's first WrestleMania, and he's on the card. Solo has been the bystander now for 3 years, and I do feel bad for him. But the original reports of Solo versus Jacob are not happening now. That's been scrapped. I'm very surprised, unless Solo somehow gets into the match. Is Solo really not at Mania, or are they going to do Solo v Braun? Maybe they'll do that. Really good match, though. So the women's tag teams, which are announced for the Gauntlet match, were as followed. Kaden and Katana Chance. Love the team. Wouldn't mind them winning. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. They're not a fucking tag team. But I'm going to assume that maybe Liv and Raquel cause a DQ on Monday. Bayley and Lyra have never been a tag team together. But I guess you get Bayley and Lyra versus Liv and Raquel at Mania. You know what they could do? They could put both titles on the line. Winner take all match. I wouldn't mind that. They could do that. Zoe and Shayna. Good to see them back on TV. FAVOUR Mission. Again, an interesting tag team. Piper Niven and Alba Fire. Again, why did we release Isla Dawn? And Maxine Dupri and Natalia. I think people want to see Bayley and Lyra because that'd probably be the better thing for Mania. But personally, I'd love to see the Party Girls. Jade Cargill and Naomi was made official for WrestleMania after Jade attacked Naomi before Naomi faced B-Fab. Naomi then beat B-Fab with a new finisher, like a inverted lung blower, like knee to the face. She's got rid of the rear view. Thank Christ for that. So this match is official. Naomi needs to win. I don't give a flying fuck. Naomi needs to win. Roman Reigns entered the arena and walked straight past Paul Heyman. He was not having it from Heyman. This was to lead up the main event, and it was a solid 20 minutes. In fact, I think they actually went over time. Roman's entrance is always great. Chicago loved Roman. New shirt, don't like it. Prefer his red one. It seems like the new shirt is showing he's going to be by himself soon. Talked about how the crowd would acknowledge him, blah blah, how CM Punk is not the right person, blah blah, wants to know what the favour is, and he was waiting and waiting, and we were all waiting, and I kind of feel it was going to happen. Seth Rollins was the one who came out first, said, I wouldn't miss this for the world, Roman. Ha 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 ha. Reality is that you can't deal with reality. Take one, WrestleMania 31, highest century. Take two, the main event at WrestleMania last year. Steph's got some points. I don't really think there's a heel in this match. There's also not a face in this match. So we waited. And we waited for CM Punk to come out. Roman kept trying to cook Seth. Seth kept trying to cook Roman. I think eventually we are going to get one more one-on-one match between them two. Reports are that Roman's taking time off after Mania. For what? He's done nothing. Yet man's turned up 3 weeks in a row. Well done, Roman. That's what we called working. CM Punk came out all pumped up, ready. We were about to find out the favour. Everyone was on the edge of the seat. Crowd were chanting, what's the favour? Crowd was very good all night. No what chance? I can't believe it. None. Punk made it simple, straight. Talked about the past of Heyman. How Heyman said to him that when Punk gets into the main event of WrestleMania, they need to deal with us. And the people who he was talking to then are not in WWE anymore. So he said it straight to Roman that he needs to deal with us. And us meant Paul Heyman and CM Punk back together again. Possibly just for one night. The favour was simple. Punk wants Heyman in his corner at WrestleMania. And Roman laughed. He was like, you know, he loves me, my wise man. I saved him and everything. And then you saw the sudden look. Heyman started crying and Roman's like, tell him no. Tell him no. Tell him easily no. And Heyman wouldn't do it. And it kept getting more suspense and everything was like, oh god, he's either going to punch Heyman. Heyman's going to either attack Roman. I don't think any of that's going to happen, by the way. Is it clear that Roman doesn't love Heyman? No, I think Roman does. His betrayal will hurt a lot. It's not a betrayal, though. That was what I'm saying. But Heyman said, no, my tribal chief, I can't do that. And he accepted Punk's favour. Roman went up to him and was trying to wipe his tears away with the handkerchief. And then Punk attacked him, hit the GTS on Roman. Heyman's standing there crying. Seth is having the time of his life, just laughing, collapsing to the floor. We get the stare down between Seth and Punk, which was what the story was really about. Then they added Roman. Perfect ending to SmackDown. Perfect show from the start to finish. Apart from the Tiffany and Charlotte stuff, which was entertaining because of how messy it was. But a very good return to the United States. And I'm very interested to see what happens now at WrestleMania. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you for Monday Night Raw.